Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to read a different story, which I'm really excited about. It does fit in with our unit all about food and where food comes from, but this is a little bit different. This is going to go with our how-to writing. Remember, people write how-to writings to teach their reader how to do or make something. Today, we're going to talk about how to draw something. I'm really excited. So, the book is called Cakes. And this book, Cakes, is going to teach us about an artist from the 1960s. His name is Wayne Thiebaud. And Wayne was a little bit different of an artist. And it just reminded me that our students can be artists. And even if you're drawing something or painting something or creating something that might look different to others, it could be a beautiful masterpiece for you. So I really hope you like this story. So the story is going to start out by teaching us that most artists, in all of time that there's been artists, for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, people have been painting things. Most people paint a still life of flowers. So they might find a vase of flowers or maybe an arrangement of fruits or vegetables. That's what a still life is called. It's not a human and the object is still, so that's why it's called a still life. And the artist will paint or sketch or draw those objects normally. Now this artist is a little bit different, and as you can guess from the title, he liked to paint cakes. So we're going to read this story to you today. Then we're going to use the text evidence from this text and the wonderful tips from this artist to learn how to draw a cake or a pie, a sweet treat. So let's get reading this story called Cakes. Now, before I start reading, I just want you to look at the cakes. Of course, this is on a book, but on the cover of the book is a picture of a painting that the artist did. His name was Wayne Thiebaud. Okay, hopefully you got enough time to notice some details in these cakes. And the author of this story is Michelle Palmieri, and she's going to be writing to us all about the artist named Wayne Thiebaud. Here's another picture of his painting of cakes. So by the end of this story, we're going to try and get the how to draw a piece of cake steps. Okay, we're going to start with first, then, next, and last. We're going to try and draw today a picture of a cake. All right, here's a still life. Here's an example of a still life that people normally did for hundreds and hundreds of years. Okay. Artists have made still life paintings for thousands of years. These artworks have been painted on stone walls and brushed on smooth canvases. They show objects that are sitting still, such as flowers in a vase or food on a table. Here's a photograph of the artist we're talking about, Wayne Thiebaud. In the 1960s, Wayne Thiebaud started making his own kind of still life paintings. He chose to paint simple, everyday objects that gave him joy. And one thing that filled him with joy was cake. As he painted, he remembered sweet treats from family picnics. He remembered towering layer cakes that he had seen in bakery windows. The time he spent working in restaurants was also on his mind. Here comes our first step. To make a painting of dessert, Thiebaud discovered the food's basic shape. He saw a piece of pie as a triangle. A cake was a circle. Wow, this is important. The author told us that the first thing the artist did was find the shape of the object. Notice how there's a triangle next to the piece of pie and how there's a circle next to the big round cake. In this bubble, this is a really cool text feature the author used, and that's a quote from what the artist said, Thiebaud. He said, "I picked things like pies and cakes, things based upon simple shapes like triangles and circles." That's what the artist really said. He started by drawing small sketches. He would try out different ways to place shapes. He would think about how much space to put between each plate of cake or pie. We notice in the picture there's these little arrows that are telling us that he was looking for the space between the shapes. When he found the right composition, it was time to brush paint into the canvas. He added layer after layer of thick oil paint. His brush strokes turned paint into frosting. The thick paint and rich brushstrokes added texture to cakes. He gave some cakes a smooth, creamy texture. He painted others to look whipped and fluffy. What textures can you see? So the texture is what he used with the paint to make it look like icing. Now we're not going to have paint today, but we could probably use crayons or colored pencils. So the first step we're going to do is use a shape. The second step we're going to do is add some texture with our colors to make it look like frosting. Oh, here's a quote from the artist, sorry. If you stare at an object, as you do when you paint, there is no point at which you stop learning things from it. Okay, now the next quote he says is, in the shadow, all the light happens. The cakes, hopefully you can see, there you go. The cakes in this painting seem to pop off the canvas. Thiebaud added shadows to give the cakes depth. Shadow helped the cakes look solid, not flat. They also show how the light falls on the cakes, as if you are standing right there at a bakery. You may think of shadows as dark or even black, but the shadows in this painting are filled with color. On the table, you can see the oval shadows in different shades of gray. Purple and blue shadows extend onto white plates. The shadows that darken the sides and tops of the cakes have many colors. What colors can you see in the shadows? Look closely. I see some purples. I even see some oranges. Definitely some grays and blacks. What colors do you see? Okay, so our first step is the shape. Our second step is adding texture for the frosting. And our third step seems to be adding shadows. When Thiebaud made his still life paintings of desserts, he sat back and laughed. He knew some people would think it was silly to paint sweet treats, but he saw it as an interesting way to work with brushstrokes, composition, light, shadows, and color. Like many artists before him, he took time to explore his craft by painting objects he loved. Wow, look at all those triangles he used to paint little pieces of pie. So first, we're going to have to draw a shape. Next, we're going to have to add some texture or color to make it seem like it's frosting on a piece of cake. Then we have to add a shadow to make it seem it's like it's a little 3D. And last, he sat back and laughed and smiled at this painting. So I guess we have to admire our work and see what we can improve to make sure it's finished. So, you know, I'm a teacher, not an artist, so you can't laugh at my drawing. We're all going to give it our best shot. So hopefully, if you need to pause to get your materials, go ahead and pause the video here. But I have a notebook and colored pencils and crayons. I think the crayons will be good to make texture, kind of like the frosting, but I also brought my colored pencils to help me draw if I wanted to. And I forgot an eraser, but an eraser might be helpful for you and your drawings. So I would like to draw a circular cake, okay? So I have a brand new piece of paper in my notebook. I've got my crayons and my pencil, and I should have an eraser, but I forgot mine, so hopefully you have your eraser. Okay, so let's draw a circle, an oval kind of, for the top of the cake. Now there's a body of the cake, which is also kind of circular on the bottom. So I'm going to add another circle kind of on the bottom. Now, like I said, I am a teacher, not an artist, so you can't laugh at my drawing, and I will not laugh at yours. So go ahead and draw your circle to start your cake, or if you want to do a triangle, you can. I think I should have started the triangle because the circular part's kind of hard. So here's the top of my cake, and here is the straight lines I drew for the body of the cake, and then here's this half a circle that I drew for the bottom of the cake. Oops. So not the best. I'm a teacher, not an artist, but I'm giving it my best try. All right, so now we need to add our texture. So I love chocolate cake. I like chocolate frosting on the outside of my cake with vanilla cake. It's my favorite. So I'm, of course, going to get brown to draw some texture. So step number 1 was the shape. Step number 2 is the texture. So the artist seemed to layer thick painting strokes. He said thick brush strokes. So of course, I'm using a crayon, not a brush. So I'm going to do big circular loops for my icing to make it look textured. And what I did to do that was I just kind of spun my crayon around. Now it's starting, to look a little bit more like a cake, but you know me, I'm a teacher, not an artist, so I'm just giving it my best try. Okay, so now I have thick icing at the top. Now I think I want smoother icing on the body of my cake. So now I'm just kind of going to do straight, smooth lines down for the icing of my cake, because the way you move your crayon or pencil will give different textures to the icing of your cake. Now, my cake seems to be floating on air, so I think I need to add a plate. That's one thing I forgot to include in my shapes in the beginning. And then maybe we'll do some little, I'm going to press down harder on my crayon and give more texture to the bottom of my cake, as if it had more icing on the bottom, kind of as the design. And as you can see, I just used 3 different types of textures with my crayons. Okay, now I'm going to add my plate, of course. So my first step was drawing the shape. My second step was adding texture. Now my third step will be to add the shadows to make it look like it's a 3D cake. Now I just drew a cake stand like you have in a bakery. I just used some rectangles to draw my stand, and I'm just gonna like quickly color it in so it kind of looks like something there. Of course, you can add some more detail on your drawings. Okay, great. Now we need to draw our shadow of our cake. So we have the texture, we have the shapes. Now we need to use some more ovals like he did for the shadows. Got our texture. Now it kind of looks like circular ovals here behind the cake and underneath the cake plate. So I'm going to start with a gray crayon and draw my cake shadow. Big oval on the bottom of the table maybe. So I'm going to kind of draw it underneath the plate like this. And it can't be too dark because people would say, is that another part of your cake? Or like, what is that? So I'm going to just lightly color it in. And then the cool thing is that the artist said they added some purple. So I'm just going to add a few strokes of purple to my shadow and hope that that kind of helps the cake look like it's coming off the plate. And I also noticed that the artist used a shadow at the top of the cake. So I'm gonna just add a little shadow at the top of the cake also. I added it right here. And like I said, I'm not an artist, I'm a teacher, but hopefully you can tell that I drew some chocolate cake. So our first step was to do the shapes. Our second step was to do the texture. Our third step was to add this tricky shadow. And now your fourth step is to look at it, see what you like about it, and smile. I hope you like drawing today. It's a new example of how to do something. You did a really great job drawing with me. Thanks for being artists and experts on how to do something. Bye, friends.